In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News Today.
And this morning we are taking a live look at New Orleans. That you see on the left side of your screen is Bourbon Street, and on the right side you can see the Superdome. On the left, the FBI and police are investigating that Bourbon Street area that you see right there as an act of terrorism that happened on New Year's Day. A Texas man killing 15 people and hurting dozens of others.
The Superdome hosting the Sugar Bowl later on at 3 this afternoon. That game postponed yesterday after that deadly attack. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Tom Miller.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sally Hernandez. A little after 3 o'clock yesterday morning, New Orleans police say a man sped down a packed Bourbon Street. They say Shamoud Zdin Jabbar used his car as a weapon, mowing down people at a high rate of speed between the 3 blocks of Canal to Conti streets, right before crashing into a crane. He then got out and opened fire on police, according to investigators, and died at the scene.
At least 15 victims are dead, more than 30 others hurt. The FBI says the killing and the man had an ISIS flag on that truck, along with weapons and an improvised explosive device inside. The FBI also finding 2 other explosives elsewhere in the French Quarter, but got rid of them safely. According to a congressional aide who spoke with CNN, the FBI is going to be briefing House and Senate oversight committees and the Louisiana delegation at 9 this morning. Meantime, here in Texas, we know that the man accused of this killing is from Houston. The FBI in a neighborhood there investigating his home. The driver was a U.S. veteran who served in the Army and Army Reserve between 2006 and 2020. The FBI does not believe he acted alone.
We're aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
We want you to know that KXAN will have a crew in the Houston area later on today to give you an idea of what the FBI is following and how we can follow along the investigation with you. We know the FBI also setting up a digital tip line with information. If you have anything that you'd like to talk to police about or the FBI when it comes to video of the incident that you have or know somebody that does, call 1-800-CALL. FBI. You can also send information through an online form at fbi.gov, and we got that link to the story on our website at kxan.com.
First warning weather with meteorologist Kristen Curry.
Well, good morning. Let's start with a live look up in Georgetown. Our Ewald Kubota weather camera. Hard to tell, but there is a lot more cloud cover out there this morning compared to yesterday. Dry skies, though. No need for the rain gear. We are going to stay dry from start to finish. How about our temperatures? Well, we are likely going to be a little chilly this morning, so grab that coat before you go. Just know that the numbers are going to show widespread 40s and 50s out there, even some 30s. Look at the 30s in the hill country. 32 San Saba, 34 in Atlanta, 46 right now in Austin. Not too far from where we were yesterday. Temperatures just a little cooler out in our eastern counties, but I think the afternoon temperatures are going to be noticeably warmer. We get back to the mid 60s today with a 10% chance of a sprinkle, drizzle, light rain. Rain chances really don't look that impressive today, but there is a disturbance down there in the Gulf that has potential to throw at least a little bit our direction, so we're going to watch that very closely. What are we looking at ahead? Well, there's a steady bump in temperatures today, tomorrow, the next day, really all the way through the weekend. We've got temperatures climbing, but a strong cold front moves in on Sunday. This is going to be a doozy. It's going to flip our weather pattern in a very big way. Temperatures tumble behind it, and could we potentially see some wintry mix as we get into the middle of next week? It's a possibility, but we have to talk about it because there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding that precipitation chance. So stick around. Those details for you are coming up.
Thank you. Austin police hope that you can help find a person they say robbed multiple women at gunpoint in the Hyde Park neighborhood. Police on December 22nd saying just before 10 o'clock at night, this is a suspect that robbed the victims. And it happened again just after 9 at night on the 24th, Christmas Eve. The photos that you can see right there to the right are the best police that can share with us right now that we can share with you. They are requesting any security camera videos or any witnesses who may have been in the area of Maiden Lane and West 35th Street to come forward with any kind of clues. Overseas, the black boxes on a plane may be key to figuring out what happened moments before it crashed in South Korea. 179 out of the 181 passengers and crew members died on board. South Korean investigators are now converting data from a cockpit voice recorder into audio files, and that could take about 2 weeks to do, or 2 days, excuse me. They are also digging through the flight data recorder. Yesterday, they returned the remains of the 11 of the people who died so that families can start their funeral services.
Back here closer to home, there are some new leaders in Williamson County. The county swearing in a number of district judges and constables yesterday. It also marks a new term for District Attorney Sean Dick. Last March, he asked county leaders for about $275,000 to hire extra prosecutors there. Dick says they were necessary to deal with a growing caseload.
Make it easier to buy a home here in Austin. Real estate experts with Zillow say the area's housing market is healthier.
Yeah, real estate analysts say that rapid construction here in the Austin area helping out close that inventory gap that was spurred by the COVID pandemic. Nationally, experts say the housing market could be volatile due to new presidential leaders, the Trump administration. That is historically something that's led to market fluctuations.
We're starting to see inventory in the Austin market surpass pre-pandemic levels, which is unlike what we're seeing nationwide. The number of homes for sale in Austin last month was 30% higher than it was before the pandemic.
And along with the city's rapid construction, migration into the city is also slow.
With that said, in November, real estate company Redfin says 62% of Austin homes sat on the market for 2 months or longer. Local agents say interest rates did not drop like many hoped.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
The University of Texas Longhorns step closer to the national championship this morning. You can see the UT Tower is lit up in burnt orange. The team beating Arizona State in double overtime yesterday at the Peach Bowl.
You look like you have not been crying. I appreciate that this morning.
There were no tears.
But there were on the other side. I think for a lot of people, Noah Gross had a front seat to the classic battle. He reports now from Atlanta.
In the second overtime, Texas goes down on offense to go up 8 points, scoring a touchdown and 2-point conversion. Andrew Makuba has the game-winning interception for the Texas defense. They beat the Arizona State Sun Devils here in the Peach Bowl. Before Texas went out to the field on defense, Andrew Makuba, the hero in this one, went to the Texas sideline, didn't see a lot of energy, knew they needed a spark. He didn't give a speech himself. He turned to one of his fellow defensive backs, Thorpe Award winner Jahdae Barron, to give that speech. Jahdae did. It clearly invigorated this Texas defense to make that big defensive stand. And this Longhorns group on the defensive side of the ball, which has come up big so many times this year, knows how important number 7 is to the whole team.
Jahdae is one of the leaders on the team, and this is his team, to be honest. So, I felt like it was only right for me in that moment, not me speak up, but, tell a guy like Jahdae, okay, this is your team, bro, this is your defense, bring these guys in together, I'm pretty sure they're going to listen to you, you're going to, bring the spirit up, and, that's exactly what he did, brought the guys in, when he's talking, everybody was locked in and listening, and I'm pretty sure they felt the message.
Man, Jahdae, man, he's our spark sometimes, you know what I'm saying? He really helps us. He's very good with his words. We listen to him. He leads us. And, so those words were very important to us, It helped us regroup, and, we were able to finish on top.
On the offensive side of the ball for Texas, some clear struggles, notably in that third quarter where they really just could not move the ball. But when they needed to play the most, they turned to Matthew Golden, especially on that 4th and 13. As defensive tackle Alfred Collins says, Matthew Golden is a bad man. An incredible game for him as he continues to lead this Texas wide receiver room here later in the season. Now the Longhorns head back to the home state for the Cotton Bowl January 10th. For now at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, Noah Gross, KXAN News.
Welcome back, everyone. Your time check right now is 4:45. Today marks 2 years since Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin went into cardiac arrest during a Monday night football game. And as Hope Winters reports, since then, he's partnered up with the American Heart Association to make a difference off the field with the Hearts Act.
I think this is personal to them, right? And they're really stepping up in a big way to make sure that the Buffalo community and now, the entire country is better preparing themselves to help their neighbor, their friend, their spouse, their family member in the event of a cardiac emergency.
Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin is helping make impactful strides, not just on the field. His teamwork with the American Heart Association, the NFL, and government partners all helped pass the Hearts Act.
I've always envisioned myself, making an impact on the field, trying to be the best player I can be, and then just, doing work in my community, trying to give back. But to be able to, have something that means just as much to the world as what I can do on the field, truly gives that purpose.
This week marks 2 years since Hamlin went into cardiac arrest on the field during a Monday night football game. Medical professionals on the sidelines immediately took action and performed life-saving CPR. Hamlin is advocating to bring these life-saving skills to schools.
It's going to provide resources to public schools that really are going to become life-saving resources on school grounds, in athletic facilities, and could be the difference between life and death.
This act is designed to help provide funds for public schools nationwide to have access to AED, CPR training, and cardiac emergency response plans. The American Heart Association says out of the 350,000 cardiac emergencies that happen in the United States every year, 23,000 of them happen to children.
10% of people that suffer from an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest survive. So there's a huge gap there. Having AEDs in schools increases that number by 7 times, and having cardiac emergency response plans in schools will increase that number by 5 times.
The American Heart Association encourages people to take a class and a lesson when it comes to CPR.
Wave after wave, some people diving into 2025 with a splash. At Barton Springs yesterday, the annual polar bear plunge. The water year-round is nice, 68 degrees roughly, while the temps outside were less than that in the morning. The polar plunge, New Year's staple in Austin, now for more than 45 years. Some people took it a step further onto the diving board.
You really got to jump in when you're doing something like that.
You have to commit.
Winter.
I mean, there's no turning back. I mean,
Yes.
there is, but you don't want to do that because it's going to be like, that's how you're going to kick off the new year.
Yeah,
I know.
that's a great, it's a great way. I know that our producer who is producing our show right now, he went down there and dove in.
Yeah, we had a few from KXAN out there,
That's
so
right.
it's certainly a tradition for many. Let me show you what's going on with your forecast this morning. Good morning to you. Clouds and radar not showing a whole lot close to home, but we do have some rain down in South Texas. There's that disturbance that I mentioned earlier. That disturbance in the Gulf is going to try and throw a little bit of moisture at us, but I think we're going to have a tough time squeezing out those raindrops. There's not a lot to work with, but let's dive in with what's happening this morning. Indeed, domain camera showing dry skies, but there is more cloud cover today, and at times we're going to see a lot more clouds and sun as we get into the later part of the morning. Temperatures in the 30s and 40s, so it is chilly, encouraging you to grab that coat with 35 in Georgetown, 46 in Austin, 45 in Bastrop, down to freezing in Lampasas, Llano, and San Saba this morning. Looking ahead, those 30s and 40s turn to 60s today, high of 65. That's about 5 degrees warmer than yesterday. Mainly to partly cloudy and a 10% chance of a few sprinkles and drizzle. Again, it's enough to include it in the forecast. It is not enough, in my opinion, to be rearranging your plans over that 10% chance of rain. But occasionally you'll see a little bit of green pop up here. That 10% looks a little bit more likely east of I-35. You're probably going to see more sunshine for those west of 35 in the hill country. Temperatures will steadily climb day by day all the way through Sunday. Then late Sunday comes a strong cold front. This Canadian cold front is going to drop our temperatures down to the 40s and 50s in the afternoon. Likely to see a widespread freeze for a couple of nights, it looks like, getting into next week. And yes, that does include Austin. We have not yet seen our first freeze downtown. It is likely that we will get to those levels getting into next week. How about the wintry precipitation? Well, if I put this into motion, you're going to notice this computer goes 10 out of 10 on the wintry mix and the snowfall here. However, if I show you a different computer, it has quite the opposite. It doesn't have much except for maybe a couple spots here and there. So there's a lot of uncertainty regarding the precipitation chance associated with this turn in weather. What am I confident in? I'm confident that we're going to see some freezing temperatures at night. tonight. I'm confident in the cold afternoons in the 40s. I also know this will not be a repeat of the 2021 winter storm. It will not be a repeat of the 2022 ice storm, but would we maybe see some flakes flying in the hill country? Maybe a few pockets of sleet getting into that Tuesday and Wednesday timeframe next week. It's on the table. We're just not sure yet. So be sure you're sticking with us for updates. In the meantime, we know that temperatures will be in the 60s today and tomorrow, 70s Saturday, Sunday. As is typical with a cold front, we're going to see some winds come up with it as it makes its approach. Then getting into next week, the temperatures plummet down to the 40s. Overnight lows now forecast to be below freezing here in Austin. And then again, we'll be watching that wintry mix potential very closely as we get into the middle of next week. Hey, you may be able to catch a part of an annual celestial event tonight. The annual quadrantid meteor shower is set to peak this Friday. Those in the northern hemisphere will have the best chance of seeing it. You'll want to face the northeast sky in the early morning hours tomorrow, away from any light pollution. That show stays active until January 16th.
Hanukkah is in the books yesterday, marking the 8th and final day. And over in Buda, it lit its menorah in its 4th annual celebration. Anyone could attend. There was music, food, lots of other activities. The lighting falling on New Year's Day, according to some, makes it even more special.
More love, more light all together, just sharing in this community event. Not many faiths coming together to just join hands and celebrate.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Yeah, Hanukkah in 2025 will run December 14th, as we mentioned, through the 22nd.
Well, the legislative session starts in less than 2 weeks. Texas lawmakers promising change on the heels of some KXAN investigations.
Yeah, from bills preventing crashes into hospitals to systems that would better track truant students sent to court, and even cosmetic procedure regulations. KXAN investigator Kelly Wiley shares the impactful reports with unfinished business going into 2025.
A deadly crash into an Austin hospital's emergency room sparked KXAN's months-long investigation into safety concerns at hospitals nationwide.
I got a white Acura that drove through the entrance to the civilian side of the emergency room.
And whether medical sites had security barriers known as bollards at their entrances.
They've got bollards protecting the main entrance over there.
That reporting resulting in new requirements for medical facilities in Austin.
The investigation by KXAN and the team there really ensured that this was brought to resolution in an expedient manner.
And potential changes to state and federal law. In January, Texas lawmakers will consider a bill requiring bollards at most hospitals in the state.
We're just super glad that our story is being used as sort of a catalyst.
It's one of many KXAN investigations prompting lawmakers to act at the Texas Capitol.
Got it.
Why did it happen to us? Why did we survive this?
You haven't been going to school recently?
A lot of stuff is going on.
After a KXAN investigation uncovered no state agency tracked what happens to kids sent to court for missing too much school, lawmakers say they want to work on a uniform truancy tracking system.
It does concern me because we don't know what the magnitude of the problem is and whether or not it's being addressed. And that's something we need to look at with TEA.
We need better data on exactly what's happening with these cases to understand why kids aren't in school.
And after a KXAN report found gaps in the state's misconduct registries, including a tutor allowed to work inside a Central Texas school, all while under investigation for sexual misconduct, Texas senators filed a bill.
Y'all were one of the stories that were reported that shows that there's a gap in the system. And because of the reporting that you had, it makes it even more clear that we have to plug that gap.
Another KXAN investigation could shake up Texas's med spa industry. State Senator Charles Schwertner refiled a bill that would prohibit barbers and cosmetologists without proper licensing from injecting medications, including Botox, after a KXAN report found a lack of oversight and safety gaps for cosmetic medical services.
I think it is incumbent that we as a state protect Texans and their health and safety and welfare when it comes to any sort of invasive procedure.
The needs for having a proper medical examiner is something that is unfortunately in demand.
Texas lawmakers have also resumed efforts to modernize the state's antiquated system for death inquests.
There was an undercurrent somewhere, somehow, that must have caused this to happen, because I don't think she died by her own hand.
After a KXAN series showing justices of the peace also have the power to determine cause and manner of death with scant training and often without autopsies or forensic expertise.
When you see locally your JPs are being overwhelmed because of the workload that they have, well, then it's time to take action.
Kelly Wiley, KXAN Investigates.
Thank you, Kylie. You can watch and catch up on our most high-impact reports of the year on KXAN.com right under the Investigates tab. There you can also find the specific bills filed associated with each issue. Barrett?
Well, keeping people and pedestrians safe downtown, a look at some proposed changes in downtown Austin coming up in a live report.